And welcome back, weirdos! Today is a very special day. Today we are back at the home of Punk Bordello. And we're live. Well, visually, we're here on a visual medium today. Shout out to the audience real quick.
Hey, audience, how you doing?
Audience watching. For those listening at home, that is completely fine. We want more people to listen. We want more people to hear the message. And we want more people on the podcast. So if you know folks or you want to be on it, I'd love to have you. Today, Cory, Mr. Jones, we tell each other fairy tales.
Yeah. That we fucking do, man.
How you been?
I've been alright. You know, I've been keeping my nose to the grindstone in terms of, my priorities and everything like that. And just, moving through life with a lot more, self-respect and maybe not as much grace, just given the fact that fucking life happens sometimes, but, we find a way out, we save for a rainy day, and we keep moving forward,
Yes, save for a rainy day and keep moving forward. I completely understand.
Yeah, is that because your condo was flooded?
Yeah, that happened. Still keeping an eye on this audio level here. We're figuring things out as we go. This is the last time we're actually going to do it in this format, isn't it? We're going to have different mics and different cameras next time. So yeah, definitely. Okay. I know you had a podcast because I was on it.
Yeah.
I was on episode 1. What was the podcast name?
It is the Punk Bordello podcast.
Okay.
And so, I haven't had any guests. I've had a couple of guests since, but right now that's kind of like slowing down. And so, when you do so much yourself, then you compartmentalize your time.
I completely agree.
I shifted focus and started working on the marketing campaigns for the next albums.
Yeah, man. I think that it's admirable that you both know how to create and conquer,
that's not really like the way that I look at it. I don't
But you're conquering a piece of that market share for yourself by putting yourself out there.
The only thing I'm trying to conquer is the potential I've always known I had inside me.
I got you.
And I'm just like, with every new song that I write, with every new idea that I have, even if it's one that I don't get to flesh out entirely, I know that it's one step closer to being the man I've always known I could be, as well as, being the musician and artist that I always knew I could be.
Okay. Well, we'll get more into that in just a second. So, back to your podcast.
Okay.
How many episodes did you release?
I don't know, honestly. I just I didn't even listen back to them or anything. I just had the conversations.
Who'd you have on? So who was second?
I'd have to look it up on YouTube. Here, hold on. Real quick.
Embarrassing.
My phone's on 1%. Let's hope that,
oh no.
Let's hope we're lucky. Real quick.
Or okay, how about, do you remember who you had on at all besides myself? Wow.
It's just, you put me on the spot and it's hard to think
I get
about.
it.
It's hard to pinpoint it. Playlists, Punk Bordello podcast. Oh no, you are the only one.
Okay.
You were
they only posted, but you had other people on.
No wonder I couldn't think about it, because there's so many.
But you recorded other ones, right?
Yeah, I have recorded some other ones.
Okay.
I never necessarily got around to fleshing them out. I don't know if it's necessarily what the reasons were, because, hindsight is 20/20. But I definitely had reason to take a step back and not release those. So I think I might release. I might come back to it later on and kind of release it from post. Maybe say a message about this is from well before, and it was just sitting there, and I was like, oh fuck, why haven't I released this? You know what I mean?
I 100% know what you mean, because I just released Budro, 10 songs that I literally sat on for year and a half. You have one that's finished, and then you kind of move on to something else, and then you're like, okay, I'm kind of getting a vibe of where I'm going with this, and then you just kind of sit on it for a while, and then come back with fresh eyes.
Yeah,
I tend to do that a lot.
And the last time you were over, we were talking about how we frickin' like you have all of those songs that you sit on, and then you can come back and realize that they can sound cohesive like an album. This is kind of like expanding upon what we had already talked about, but
Right.
you know, you have all these songs and ideas that you fleshed out, and then you just organize them as they fit in and create an experience with each other. You know what I mean? So like, for instance, Pipe Dreams Volume 2, when I had I had about 20 songs, and originally I wanted to do like just like a deluxe edition where it was all 20 songs on like one thing, but then I was like, let's break it up a little bit, you know what I mean? And then I broke it up a whole lot, and then my distributor went out of business, and I'm like, fuck it, I just need, they're already on YouTube, let me just throw them on Spotify. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it's just bringing it back to that actual point is you filter out what songs you want to actually like put out there and showcase to the world, and you try to make an experience out of it. I mean, it's, if anybody listens to the album that's currently on Spotify, Pipe Dreams Volume 1, if you hit the repeat button and you let it play back as soon as it's finished, it can play in a loop and not be uncomfortable. I mean, at this point now, I've listened to those songs so much that I'm fucking sick of them. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, once you move on and you start working on the next album, now that's all you listen to until now it's out, and then you don't listen to it as much, maybe, you know?
And then you have to come back and have nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember making this.
Yeah, yep. And I mean, then when you go to play it live, you know, it makes it that much more interesting, you know?
Unless you forget it, like some artists do, and they forget their own words or their own...
I mean...
how to play it.
I've been there. I mean, there was this one time I played an open mic, maybe it was the Speakeasy. I'm not entirely sure, but I was just testing some material out, and I just got up there and with my acoustic guitar, and I forgot the words like halfway through the song. I just like I tried to pull it out. My mind was just like, I even walked up to there just realizing like, wait, what's the first lyric again? And so I played through the entire intro, and I'm like literally on stage just like, fuck, what was that lyric? Oh, yeah, right. I said all that shit out loud. It's like, I mean, definitely not selling it. I mean, it's whatever, but at the same time, like, you just laugh it off because it's all part of it. It's an open mic. That's what you're there to do. Fucking dust off the nerves and shit, you know? And when you start killing those open mics, you know, hopefully people see what you're doing and, you know, like, you network.
Right.
You know, that's the idea, is to put yourself in front of people and for them to hear your shit.
It's a sample of what you have to offer, yeah.
Yes.
Actually, so speaking to that, the very last time I performed in front of a live audience was in choir, and it was like 2008.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, kind of a while. But we had to do a senior song, so I picked Blue Moon, and he was like, that song's way too slow. I'm like, okay. He's like, so I'm going to double time it. I'm like, no. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, it's not going to fit with the, you know, we only have a certain amount of time for these parents to be here and not get tired and just leave. Yeah, that's pretty much what he said. So he's like, we're just going to go ahead and cut this in half by doing a double time. And I was like, okay. So I was very uncomfortable with that because it's a very slow song and it's a very meaningful song, you know, to that, you know, so I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll give it a shot. And yeah, I was unprepared because it was double timed and my brain went right back to the original song. And in the part where it's like, and then suddenly appeared before me, that's how fast I had to do that. And my brain, like, he wanted me to sing Blue Moon regularly, but then that part was sped up. So yeah, it was very confusing. And I went, and then I messed up and went, damn, out loud in front of everybody. And my dad decided to record it and put it on YouTube.
God.
He saved it all those years, and he has it on YouTube.
I mean, that's kind of like, I mean, that's kind of like, I mean, like when we first met, and I made the video for Wishful Thinking. That was like one of the first videos that was ever just good enough for me to be able to, you know, consider it a part of the project. You know, I put that version up on YouTube just because, you know, it's a little piece of history. You know, it was one of my first attempts at, like, I have all the tools. Let me just make the song, and then I'll try and get some creative B-roll to go with it, I'll get a couple of people to like help get shots of me singing the song and shit. And I mean, then I also played around with the color grading, so it looks kind of it looks a little bit amateur, but I mean, it's because it fucking is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I never signed up to fucking do all this shit, but in today's day and age, as an artist, you're not gonna get anywhere unless you take up multiple roles. You know, and that even includes if you are in a band or a unit where the work is delegated. Everybody has to do their part. Otherwise, none of you are gonna get anywhere. Like, if you have 4 people that can all play their instruments really well and show up to the studio on time, that's all fine and good. But if there's not ideas being thrown around about like how you can market yourselves and like get yourself out there, then like it ends up getting pushed onto one person, and then that one person tries to organize things, and then there can be
it sounds like a school project.
Yeah, there can be like egocentric differences and stuff like that, and it becomes this recipe for disaster because one person is pulling more weight than others. It's got to be like all equal parts, and that's really hard to find. And one thing I've always wanted to say in terms of like what my personal message is that I've gone through a lot of situations where you come to these creative differences with people, and then everybody just wants to take on this mantle of, oh well, I just fucking do it myself. I don't need anybody else. I'll do it myself. And I mean, that is exactly what the fuck I did.
Yeah.
But the difference between me and most people is that that's not what I want to promote in my music. I believe in collaboration, and I believe in outside ideas and working with them and bending them to make something even greater. And the only way that you're going to do that is if you allow yourself the ability to hear and implement ideas of others.
I think that
it's a collaborative effort at the end of the day, and being able to compromise and say, oh, that's a great idea, or oh, that's an even better idea than what I had. You know what I mean? And just being able to be real with yourself and authentic in that is it's like half the fun of making music. It's half the fun of making any kind of production. It's like it should be why we do it. You don't just. There's not very many musicians that I know, although I do know a couple who just only want to do it for themselves. And only, you know what I mean? Like, I like to wear my shit on my sleeve and let everybody know this is the kind of artist that I am. It's a way to move. It's a better way to move forward. I never wanted to do everything myself, but once I realized that it was getting harder to find people as I got older, it's like, all right, well, I have to at least have something to show people. You know what I mean? And then having something to show people became, well, why can't I just start a production company and let my artistry be the representation of what I could do for others, or the things that we could create, or the deals that we could make, So that being said, it starts as let me just do this by myself, but it evolves into, but the message I want to spread is, don't be afraid to work with other people, and don't be afraid to be real with yourself and take a step back. You know what I mean? It's all about balance, and you got to keep that balance within yourself, so you can't allow yourself to become too egotistical, because then that just, plenty of people I know are great artists that are also super egotistical and arrogant, and it's like, but it's not necessary. I think we're coming, I truly feel like we're coming to like a new place in like just like the general mentality amongst people, and right now it's like that big kind of like, or maybe this is just across the board for how it always works, there's people that are really grounded and also really talented, and then they are able to work out their differences to for the betterment of the project.
I think that having to learn everything give you a lot of perspective.
Yeah.
I think that because you at least have a hand on that instrument, you kind of know what it is to like walk a mile in their shoes, as to say. But I think you're also right, is that it's great to know a lot, But the point is to be creative with others, you know, to create something that...
Like, community is what we all seek.
Exactly.
You feel like you're part of something that's bigger than yourself, or doing things for more than just yourself.
Right.
Then, like, why are you really doing it?
Exactly.
You know, just to say you're awesome? Like, who are you trying to prove it to?
Yeah.
You know, how about instead of just trying to inflate your own ego and stand on top of the mountain, bring everybody with you to the mountain that you can, that you trust, that, you know, that you want to see elevated, you know? You can elevate yourself and others, and you can also fucking make things using your own specific talents to fucking get yourself out there and build yourself and make something of yourself, you know? That's like, my entire prerogative is just, I can absolutely sit in every seat. I can sit on the drum throne and hold my own. I can play the bass and I can hold my own. I can play the guitar and I can sing. I can be a front man all by myself if I have to. But why the fuck would I ever want to do that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's like kind of like a general consensus among music these days, especially considering the fact that it takes a lot less money to take one person and maybe a friend or a manager on tour than it does an entire band.
Right.
So there is kind of like the financial difference there, but I mean the difference is like the proof is in the pudding. Like when there's a live band behind you, it's just bigger. It looks better. You know, it's like that's when you go to a concert. That's what I want to see. You know, that's one of and it doesn't mean that you can't also be like a solo artist as well, because I mean one of my favorite artists is Miguel, and Miguel has a band that he goes on the road with. So does Masego.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce it.
I think that Daft Punk kind of went through that too, where they made their type of music together as a tight group, but then they had access to an orchestra whenever they did the Tron Legacy movie. Yeah. And then they even said, they were like, wow, this is like a real feeling of creating something amazing, because you get to somebody who's amazing at that field. Yeah. You get to have a hand in, you both create something amazing,
And not just that, but like...
Not to overuse the word amazing, but really...
Their talents and the world that they come from is completely different, especially with like, as studious as, like, classical and orchestral musicians...
But they broke up, though, is my point. So eventually they were like, they were so... Their eyes were so open that they want to do more. So one of them's going to actually go do more movie soundtracks, and then the other one's going to kind of do more like EDM house stuff, so.
And I mean, like, I understand both realms. Like, EDM and house music is like a completely different world than what I do, but they can both cohabitate,
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I mean, that's another different
right.
It's a different conversation entirely, but scoring music is like, why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, I personally, that's always been one of the things that is on my bucket list. I would love to score a fucking movie.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, I actually try and make a lot of ethereal music. Like I dropped Budrow, and it's what my dad calls his dog buddy, Budrow. I call him Budrow Wilson. But yeah, so he, I released that music, and I really like the feeling I get in some of those. Some of it's like hip hop, for rapping over and lyrical stuff, and some of it you could probably sing on. Yeah. You could probably write something too, but a lot of it is just kind of like background.
Yeah.
I tried one lo-fi. I thought I did pretty good.
Lo-fi is great music to sleep to.
Yeah.
Like even if man, you my voice cracked. You can literally just play a couple chords on piano with like an effect on it, and it's like cascading or something, and it sounds ambient, you know what I mean, and put that on YouTube and people will fucking listen to it. Put it in a live loop and they'll fall asleep to it.
Completely agree. Resetting the thing.
Yeah, good.
All right, we're resetting that.
Well, just, I mean, like, off the record, I mean, we could totally just take these and do, like, different promotional splices on IGTV. You know what I'm talking about?
Definitely. And but we are still rolling.
Okay.
Still part of the podcast.
We can do a couple different...
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you have a good knack for promotion, and it's because you've had to do it in a lot of cities.
Yeah. I mean, being a perennial new guy forces you to have to... Like, I don't know if I was always this way, because I've always been. It's never been a problem for me to act out or put myself out there. But when I was really young, it was a result of a broken home, and as I got older, it became more of a like I have to keep introducing myself to people, and so. I mean, you fuck up on first impressions, you're like, fuck, well, there'll be a chance because I'm probably going to go to a different school next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
It's just like, and it's like, it's all the more reason.
It's the mentality of that same, like, I saw that on Nickelodeon, dude. But that point of, like, what's the point of, investing myself? I'll be gone in a. Like it's like the army brat trope.
right. But there's also the other side to it, which is like it kind of gives you free reign to just like kind of
a sense of freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A sense of freedom.
The slate's gonna be washed clean.
Like, well, what do I need to do to impress this person? I don't really care because I'm, you know what I mean.
I guess my point is it's interesting how cynical. I don't know. It's more cynical the fact that people write that as a trope or that you lived it.
Yeah, that's actually that's good. You make a good point. I mean, but at the same time, it's like it's if you like to be quiet and reserved and you enjoy your alone time, which I mean, for a long time I tried to avoid, but it was kind of just my reality that's what it would end up being. Not to say like I didn't have like friends or longtime friends that I still talk to, but. You know what I mean? Like you move places, you can't, especially before you have a car. You know what I mean? You can't like link up as easily. And even when you do have a car, everybody's got a fucking job, and we're all just trying to, especially when you're younger, trying to gain experience to get paid, more. Not everybody has the fucking time.
Yeah, literally, that's weird that the legal age you can work in Texas is the legal age you can get here with a car. So it's like good. Public transportation to start laboring. We were just talking about that. Like you're not even out of school yet, and they're preparing you for after school.
Yeah,
we had that whole conversation.
Yeah, we did, and it's just like I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Like I mean, I fed into it to a certain degree, but I'm just glad I didn't. When I realized what I wanted to do, I didn't continue to dig myself into a hole that I'd still be paying for now, because there's a big chance I wouldn't have met anybody that I might not be sitting across from you right now. I could have stayed living with my sister when I was down on my luck, and not gone and made an album, and had to figure it out from there.
Yeah.
That making all those little decisions led me to where I'm at now. And don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a couple of points in my life where I could have done things and been a little bit easier off, but I took what I believed to be the high road, and I was true to my heart and my intentions and what I knew I could make of myself, and it just came from like a kind of intuitive point of I feel like I know what I need to do, and now it's just kind of time to own up and do it. Because I mean, it's scary to fucking take those chances and take those risks. I mean, when I moved here, it was a 27-hour long train ride. I mean, listeners will know this if they go back to the first one. It was a 27-hour long fucking train ride, and I didn't know anybody here. I was flying by the seat of my pants, and luckily all those puzzle pieces of where am I gonna live, where am I gonna how am I gonna get there. Because I didn't have a car, so like all of those things just kind of fell in place. And I mean, one person who I was renting the first apartment from, like he was also my guarantor, and he totally did not have to do that. In fact, it was probably, anybody would have told him it's probably a retarded idea for you to do that. Sorry, very, very stupid.
You want to explain what a guarantor is?
Guarantor is like a like a co-signer. Mm-hmm. He co-signed the room that he was trying to pawn off on me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just so that I could have it, so I could get there. And he picked me up from the train station and took me to my new place.
That's really nice.
Yeah, really nice. And I mean, luckily I never fell behind on my rent. I built up enough credit to be able to get an apartment on myself, or by myself, just by that. So for that first year, I could have totally fucked him over just, by not handling my shit, but I took care of it, even if it was hard. And it was hard that first year. Yeah. So I just...
Do you remember any good high points, though, during that year?
Good high points.
Yeah.
Well, just being in my bedroom creating. I mean, I was a total. Besides going to work, I was a total shut-in because I never had any money. I'd be like $200 in the red every month because I was working for like $9 an hour, you know? And, and sorry, some shared tips that were, maybe gas money. Mainly what I would eat was the food that I would take home from work that was expired that we couldn't sell anymore. You know? I had an entire freezer full. I'm not. You met me while I was still working at Starbucks, yeah?
Yeah.
And so, at that time, at any given time, my entire freezer was stuffed to the brim of just, like, shit that, the managers let me take home at the end of the night. And it was just, bacon goudas and just Starbucks sandwiches
right.
and pastries and whatever I could get my fucking grubby little mitts on.
How were they reheated?
I have a toaster oven. That's the toaster oven over there that I fucking yoinked from the apartment because everybody left me to clean that shit.
Jeez.
That shit was disgusting too. So.
Well, all that to get here.
Yeah, and I mean, like, honestly, like even back then, I was grateful for where I was at, and
right.
I feel like even if I maybe less on during harder times, but I had a drum set in my room and a bed that I would flip up.
Yep.
And fucking, keyboard. My Thea Ruth, she fucking gave me a Mac Mini that she bought. She dropped $1,000 on me before I left. She was one of the last people that I went to go say goodbye. I'll come back and visit, but I'm moving to Austin. When I did that, she dropped $1,000 that she didn't even have in the moment to say, I'm getting this for you because I believe in you, because I've always been ever since I was 6 years old, I was always the kid that was like playing guitar. It's never not been a part of who I am, and she recognized that and said, I'm getting this for you, not because of your birthday or because of Christmas or because of time, years that have gone by that we haven't seen each other. I'm getting this for you because I believe in you and I believe in what you can do, and if this is what you need to take it to the next level, I've got you.
Well, I am really happy you're still doing the podcast because I believe in what you do as well, and I love giving my listeners the opportunity to hear it. So, that being said, we know that there's some albums in the work, but what else is coming down the pipeline, shall I say?
Okay, so I've got plenty of different ideas that I'm currently fleshing out, but the very next one that should be at the top of the list, even though I'm excited about things that are on down the line. So Pipe Dreams Volume 2, I'm gonna need to do a live kind of performance of that so that I can break it up and put it on YouTube, kind of similarly to how I did with Pipe Dreams Volume 1. But the difference between the two is that Pipe Dreams Volume 1, not necessarily as I was making these songs, but I put a lot of time, attention, and detail into making a music video out of every single song. So the last song on the album, Lovely, it has a video that I had not yet uploaded. And I'm glad that it didn't come out when it was supposed to, because that was when my distributor went out of business.
Oh.
And so when that track was supposed to be dropped, it released a song, that Spectacle, which is still up there, but it released a song that it's off of Volume 2 that wasn't supposed to be released yet. So now I have the opportunity to, once I'm ready to like keep the momentum going, I can promote the video for Lovely and be like, hey, Pipe Dreams Volume 2 is coming out on such and such date, which I'm really thinking about trying to get it out there within like the next month or two.
Okay.
But until then, there's still plenty of stuff that people can hear. There's 10 songs on Pipe Dreams Volume 1 that all deserve a listen and an equal share.
What's your favorite one off there?
Oh, my favorite, I have two favorites. It would be Apex, because like I told you before we were rolling, the reason it's called Apex is because I felt like it was the pinnacle of my artistic potential in the moment. And now I've made even better stuff, which I can't wait for everybody to hear.
And this is at where?
What you mean?
Online.
Oh, this is on Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere. My link.
What's the album cover?
Album cover is my... Okay, so I a while back, I had some custom chucks made for me that are sitting right behind you. You want to pass one of them to me?
Yeah.
And I'm not usually one to sell out, but for Converse, I think I might make a special exception just because I love Chuck Taylors. But so right here, I've got Punk Bordello right here. The color scheme is red, purple, black, and light blue, and then you've got this this nice little watercolor kind of thing on the other side. And yeah, I love these things. So basically, the album cover is just this, and it should suffice to say I'm aware that it's kind of botched up on there. And then I actually just took a little bit of artistic liberty in GIMP, which is the photo editor that I use, and I factored in I factored in Pipe Dreams Volume 1 on the side of this, and it's just an extreme close-up of, you know, this sneaker right here. So, you know, it's I thought it was pretty fitting because I didn't get the artwork that I wanted in the time frame that I wanted, so I had to kind of compensate and just be like, all right, this needs to go out.
Improvised.
Right, and
it's always the best ideas.
Yeah, and when I was submitting the artwork, it looked totally fine to me. So, you know what I mean? I'm not entirely sure what happened there because it just darkened it a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's okay in my perspective because the actual product itself, the actual songs sound, they're the best thing that, you know, I have done that is ready to be put out. So that being said, like, the product itself is 100%, but the artwork is, I'm gonna have to come back to that later. You know what I mean? You gotta call it done at some point and just fucking,
right.
You know what I mean? That's a whole thing. That's a whole thing with Spotify, and I'm just really hoping that it'll be as simple as like, hey, can you guys help me out with this or something like that?
It's never done. It's just published.
Exactly. Right. And it's not like I'm making any hard copies of the CD or anything like that. So it's not to me. It's not the biggest deal in the world. But moving forward, I want to learn from this experience and then take that into perspective moving forward, so that it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that I can fix it and then make sure that doesn't happen again. But this is how we learn. I have to cut myself a little bit of slack from all that I fucking do. You know?
I think people would really enjoy you reacting to some of the old stuff that you've made with today's ears, and then therefore tomorrow's ears could look back again.
I also did a little a commentary for each one of the songs.
Really?
Yeah, for both
That's good.
Volume 1 and 2.
Very nice.
And they're just like, 30, 40-second excerpts of the song.
This was at the time, or you've done this more recently?
Right as I was wrapping everything
Perfect.
up,
That's amazing. Okay.
And in fact, it was like right before I had finished like the vocals and some of the parts for the last songs that went on, which ironically are some of the first songs that are on it. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so order. How do you decide?
Ambiance.
Yeah.
Kind of how the message is.
Is your first one your hook, or is it like your intro? How do you view your first song?
The first song is, you're talking about Cobra?
I mean, just like whenever you're laying down an album, how do you decide do you go in with a mood? Do you have an idea? Do you already know how it sounds?
I mean, the way that I look at it is kind of like a mirror paradigm to public speaking. You have to have your attention getter, because if you don't grab people immediately, especially in today's day and age, then why the fuck they're not going to continue listening to you?
Yeah.
They have a million other songs at their disposal, and there's millions of artists on Spotify. So to be able to cut through the saturation of the market, the best thing to do is to nab them.
Right.
And so with Pipe Dreams Volume 1, the attention getter is Cobra, the intro, the instrumental, which is like hip hop kind of lo-fi, you know what I mean? And it's cool. It's always been widely like well received, and it's great for a live scenario because I can play Cobra before I go on while I'm setting up, especially if it's just me. And you know, even if I have everything set up just right before the drop, I can fucking come in with a guitar solo and melt some faces. You know what I mean? Just get people who are sitting, you know, chilling at the bar to fucking look over and be like, what? And get
Guys,
really
just sipping a
dialed
rum
in.
and coke turns his face. It just melts. Like an atomic blast.
like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes. Exactly. Well, dude, I look forward to your music. I hope it comes out sooner, but I don't want to rush you.
Right. Well, I'll make an announcement when Volume 2 is coming out. But right now, it's just a matter of you know. With that being said, you know, I can play those songs live, but I'm trying not to focus on like we said at the very top, like compartmentalizing your time. I'm trying to wait before I start playing that stuff out so that people can look it up and then hear the songs that they heard that they liked.
Gotcha.
But I have a lot of different ideas how I'm going to do that, and now it's just kind of like putting in the fine-tooth comb all those little details to make the live experience different from what they would hear from the studio, therefore making it unique and making it a different experience. And you know, making it shine in its own way, and then when they walk away, they have, you know, the studio version to kind of look back and reflect on and be like, man, I just fucking love that song. You know?
Well, I think they're gonna appreciate all the thinking and ideas that you've put in this item, or this album.
I think what a lot of things, what really gets lost in translation to people, just like maybe they just don't have any like conceptualization of it, but it's like from the movies that you watch to the books that you read to maybe not the podcast that you listen to, but also the podcast that you listen to, the every little detail is accounted for, you know, in a comedy bit, in a song. Even if it's just acoustic, every little nuance is accounted for and intentional usually. And sometimes those mistakes that you hear, or sometimes the best embellishments, are, you know, they're happy little accidents, as Bob Ross would say. But you know, it all is like, it's looked back and reflected on from post, and it's like, okay, all right, well, I get you, you know. It's like it's intentional when it's put out and laid out. People have listened to it 100 times before it's put out there publicly. Usually,
Right.
Unless you're what's that one guy? He said something about like play my dick like a violin or something like that.
Like a cello. Yeah, she
like a
blows
cello.
me like a cello.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he's like, everybody
Yeah,
around me
everyone
just
around me just went with it. All right. Well, where can they find you? And do you have an Instagram, Twitter?
Yes, all of my social anywhere is Punk Bordello, at Punk Bordello. That's PUNKBORDELLO. So yeah, and then on top of that, my link tree / is Punk Bordello as well. So you just type that in, and you know, all of everything is right there. And one thing a lot of people don't know is that there's little icons at the bottom for SoundCloud and socials and, you know, what have you. Those are all links.
All right, everybody. Well, we really appreciate you for coming back for episode 22 and the very first live performance, shall we say, by us. So, yeah. Next time we're going to have better equipment and it will look better. So please tell people about this podcast. Please share it. Please like and please comment. All right, guys. Appreciate you, Cory.